I was like, oh, I forgot to post it on my socials.
All right. So what's up, guys? It's been a while. So our last episode we had that was on our scheduled date was our debate night.
Yes.
Which we missed you, Abby.
Yes. We missed
Did you watch it?
I have not watched it yet. I was out gallivanting in the mountains in Montana while that was taking place, and
it's okay. We forgive you.
Well, we definitely missed you.
It was an amazing trip, but
sure.
I was sad. I was sad to miss the debate because it looked like it got a ton of views.
Yeah.
And there were people live in the audience.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So
We had a good time.
definitely a successful event, and thank you to everyone that helped support that endeavor, chipped in,
Yes.
to help us cover the cost to put that on.
Yeah, so just so you know, we did get a lot of donations to make that happen. We had to pay for the space as well as professional recording and like streaming people to make sure that you could see it and everything.
It cost us approximately $1,000 to put on that debate in this for us to be able to do that. So we did have some great people that kind of stood up and help us be able to cover that cost. And originally when we kind of started talking about debates, just so everybody knows, is that we wanted it to be, 4 different debates. We wanted to do CD22, CD23, the sheriff's race, which we were able to do, and the state attorney's race. But with the kind of the last minute before the primaries, trying to find a venue that would host a civic debate like that is not easy.
And plus coordinating candidate schedules.
Plus coordinating. It was
and
like,
our schedules.
It was like right around
Traveler over here.
Exactly.
Hey, the City of Lighthouse Point Commission always cancels the second meeting in July, which is the 4th Tuesday of the month. It's like the 1 week I know I can take off and not miss a commission meeting.
Not all hell's gonna break loose. No, I'm just kidding. No, it makes sense. Yeah. So it was, so
it allowed us to get our feet wet a little bit in that space, and hopefully we get a lot of support. Please help donate and fund us so that maybe we can actually do some debates maybe here for the November election.
Yeah,
if we're able
there's some
to.
races that we're talking about doing. Once the nominees are solidified through the primary, which, by the way, don't forget, early voting is going on right now. It goes through Sunday, and the election day on
Is it 7
Tuesday.
to 7 in Palm Beach County? It's 10 to 7 in Broward.
People don't wake up early in
They
Broward?
don't open the early voting sites till 10, and I had to do a double take and check the SOE website. I'm like, I thought it was always 7 to 7, but no, it's 10 to 7.
Palm Beach County's been 7 to 7 forever and always.
It's interesting.
To the chagrin of the employees.
It's interesting. I've been keeping an eye on the daily counts at each of the early voting sites, like the Broward SOE uploads a thing,
I should look at that.
and it's steadily increased day after day. You would think the weekends would be the busiest, but no. Every day they pick up a few more people voting. So, started out with about 2,700 on Saturday, and we're up to, through yesterday, it was just under 3,200. So, there's several thousand people voting early every day this week. And then obviously, big day next Tuesday.
Right. It's good for you if you are a candidate or you're running a campaign to keep in your, in November or even now, to look at the data to see which are the more popular early voting sites. Because you can vote at anywhere in the early
county.
Voting site in the county. So you can see which ones are more popular for your division of labor for the November election, because it'll probably be a good indicator of how busy a polling location might be.
It's interesting, looking at that by location in Broward. The downtown SOE has in the 20s or 30s voting there every day, whereas some of the regional libraries, especially southwest part of the county, several hundred people voting every day. So
really, yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that our president
early voted. Yeah,
he early voted, and I know someone who got a snapshot of him voting at the location she was at. Oh. So he voted at the SOE.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
The SOE up in the new building.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
nice. Awesome.
He early voted. So if he early voted, you should early vote.
Right now, Republicans in Palm Beach County, 7,833 early voters.
How many Democrats?
6,998.
Yeah. But the vote by
mail. How many vote by mails?
Republicans 21,085. Democrat 46,000.
They always got us on the vote by mail.
Guys, listen. I'm just gonna put this out there. I was looking at. Someone sent me a screenshot of a weather pattern that was developing of a hurricane that was developing out in the Atlantic. It's not coming to us. We are not under threat. Yeah, Ernesto. But something could happen on election day where it is hard for people to get out and vote. Please, early vote or send in your vote by mail. Like, how bad would you feel if the candidate that you support, sorry, I'm going to guilt you because I'm Jewish and that's what we do, how bad would you feel if the candidate that you want to vote for doesn't win by a handful of votes that your vote could have counted for? Because some of these primaries do come down to hundreds, if not tens of votes. They go to recounts and they go to tens of votes. So your vote counts, getting out and voting counts, get all your friends, all your neighbors. Primaries historically, what is it, 23% turnout? It's ridiculous. Yeah. And we have school board races, the state committee people in these races, that they need your vote.
Yep.
If you don't know who to vote for, ask us.
Yeah, I think we have like 280,000 Republicans voters in Palm Beach County.
That's it.
And we're expected like maybe
it has to be more than that. No. Really?
It's 270 something.
I feel like it's more than that.
257 in Broward and 506,000 Democrats. 328,000 NPAs.
That's the key.
The NPAs are always the key.
Always the key.
Yeah. But, you know, and that's the thing is a lot of people in our party do not understand that MPAs are the key. Mm-hmm. So they trash our Republican candidates and make us look like idiots before we go into a general facing a Democrat.
And not only that, what you're doing when you are two candidates running against each other and you're trashing each other, you are giving the Democrat that one of you will go up against all the fodder that they need to take you down.
Yep.
It is the most asinine, stupid thing ever to trash your opponent. I didn't say a bad word. I said stupid. Although, you know, technically, according to the kids, it's a bad word, but I say stupid. I don't say stupid to them. I say it, and they hear me, and I just tell them they're not allowed to use it because they're too young. When they get older,
beeping the asinine, but don't point out that you said that.
I said asinine. I didn't emphasize anything. Emphasis. I put the emphasis on the correct syllable. Sorry. I didn't take any cough medicine despite how my voice sounds right now. I am sane. But yeah, it is ridiculous. It's just giving them, I mean, they're going to take all the clips of you trashing your opponent.
And negative campaigns just
they
totally
don't do well.
Turn voters off.
NPAs hate negative campaigns.
Yeah, that's why they don't pick a party. Because they don't want to be. I literally had someone who's an NPA tell me, I want to be an NPA because I want to be able to pick, like, I want someone to earn my vote.
Yeah.
A party to earn my vote.
Yep.
We're not earning votes of NPAs by trashing each other.
No.
It doesn't matter what you think of the other person. You can tell the truth about who they are, but you don't trash them.
Is what I say, compare and contrast. You should always be comparing and contrasting to whoever you're running against. Trashing them, lying about them, smear campaigns, or mocking them is not appropriate in any way, shape, or form against somebody else that's supposed to be in your party.
That supposedly, if they win, you would support because it is your party and you would want to support that person over a Democrat. Supposedly. That's how this is supposed to work.
It's supposed to work, but I know is what's going to happen.
No, the whole thing's going to blow to hell.
In the Palm Beach
The losers are going to take their ball and go home.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
And not only are they're going to take their ball and go home, they're probably going to sue someone because that's what everyone likes to do. And actively work against the person and ensuring a Democrat win.
Yep.
We are so good at snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. I mean, defeat from the jaws of victory. So good at it.
We have such a huge opportunity here in Florida.
And we're squandering it.
Just all of Florida. Like, we have such an opportunity to have a strong Republican ticket. But I'm telling you, if some of these Republicans that are running for office get in,
the whole thing's going to blow.
I'm telling you, Palm Beach County, at least, will never vote for another Republican.
No.
They won't.
They'll burn it down.
Yep, they will.
And it'll give every Republican. It'll take another generation.
Yeah.
For them to come back.
And I'm like, I tried.
We tried. Listen, there are things that are being done by quote Republicans that make me not want to be called a Republican anymore. And I am a lifelong second generation Republican. And I'm proudly raising my children to be Republicans and to support the party and to support our values more than anything, more than the party, with the values that we represent as conservatives. So many things. I'm not going to get into all of that, but I don't think I can't. How am I going to do that with what's being done to each other and being discussed and the infighting between supporters? You go to an event and the candidate that you support is getting heckled by the other supporters of the other candidate and yelled at from the audience. The disrespect is just It's unbelievable. I've
Called-
never seen anything like it. From Republicans. This is what Democrats do. We're now just as bad as they are. We're in the mud.
How about calling a liar in church? That happened.
Someone got called a liar
Yeah.
in church.
by a
Yeah.
a supporter?
Yep.
Yep.
Like called out, like yelled at?
Yeah.
Yeah. They
People!
called a liar in church.
On the
How does
Lord's
it feel to
Day.
be a liar in church?
Yelled
And
it
then-
from the pews, from
but
like the back pews,
if you're
and
look-
then came up and was like, "How does it feel to be a liar in church?"
And then you
Wow,
look,
high
on the
horse party to
website,
one.
And what the guy was saying was true. So who's the liar in church? Is my question.
But this is everywhere, and it's happening with multiple campaigns, and we have lots of campaigns that are just rolling off the rails. And I think this is happening in Broward County
Oh, it
Let's
absolutely
tell
is.
us, Abby, what's the tea?
No,
Not without
not
naming
Broward
names.
County.
Broward's not going to I feel like we're Browarding right now. We're all just Browarding out.
All I have to say is this: leadership starts at the top.
Mm-hmm.
If there's chaos at the top in the leadership, it trickles down.
Yeah.
And causes chaos everywhere
And if
else
there's
down
no
below.
leadership at the top, that means there's no leadership at all.
And so there's just, unfortunately, there's a lot of us are new to politics. Like, we all got involved after the 2020 elections for one reason or another. So it's not like a lot of us, and, those of us on this podcast especially, it's not like we have decades of experience in the political realm. But
I was
think,
in another life. No, I'm just kidding.
right. I think we're humble enough. We're,
I hope so.
intelligent enough to
Logical.
to hold back and to listen. And if we don't understand something, or if we research and we try to find the answers.
Mm-hmm.
And being an accountant, being a CPA, being a tax person, just being a person of morals and ethics, the rules suck sometimes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But they're the rules for a reason. And as Republicans, we're often held to a higher standard, because the Democrats that's a rule. No, we're just not going to follow it. We're going to cancel the primary in the state of Florida because we're Democrats and we've already,
And then we're going to
crown our
install a
candidate.
candidate and just roll with her.
But Republicans don't have that luxury. We typically are held to a higher standard, and the rules are there for a reason. And if we can't follow the rules that we have set up for ourselves,
that we've agreed to,
within
by the
our
way.
within our own party,
Yep.
we've set these rules up for ourselves, and there's things that we're supposed to do, we're not supposed to do, and there's rules as far as campaign disclaimers and advertising and transparency, and people need to know when you're using the party name and all that stuff. There's rules and there's a process that you're supposed to follow.
Yep.
And when you lack leadership at the top and lack leadership that understands why we do what we do, chaos ensues.
Yeah.
And and going back to what you guys were saying about getting in the mud and things turning ugly. I mean, we've got some campaigns in Broward that the mudslinging, the mud's flying, people within the party are pitted against each other because
Yep.
they're supporting one candidate or the other, and it's just not a good look.
It's not a good look. And I'm telling you, the Democrats are laughing all the way to the bank.
They absolutely are. They
Yep.
are so organized, and I mean, you see this at the national level. It's they all fell in line, and it's
Overnight, Kamala.
greatest thing since sliced bread when she hasn't done anything in 3.5 years.
She has done. She's destroyed.
Well, my question is she said she's going to lower food costs. Well, why the don't you do it now?
Yeah. Well, and I mean, what she's proposing, it sounds like communism, but okay.
She's
No,
not a
no,
communist,
no, no.
Abby.
No.
Don't
That's
say
not
that.
how
That's
it
not.
works.
That's
Price
not
controls.
True. Yes, but
Price
that's
controls.
not communism,
There's
Abby.
joy. We have such joy in price controls. It's a joyful campaign.
Joy. What's the other thing they call her? Was it? She's
The joyful warrior.
No, there's another thing that she's not bet. What's the other word?
Riz?
No, she definitely does not have Riz.
She's a tweaker?
No, they say what is she? Oh gosh, it's gonna drive me nuts now. Hannah
are they
St. Clair from
Are they still going to have the DNC this week?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah. I kind of want to watch
So
it.
What
I know.
happens if people really don't want these two in
But
there?
that's
and
the
I
they,
don't
problem.
think they're
That's not
going
going to
to.
happen because they fell in line. Getting back to my point, they fell in line. They closed their ranks. They've got their candidate. They're going to do everything in lockstep to get their candidate elected.
And they are going to lie
Meanwhile,
all the way.
Meanwhile, we're all just like, infighting, and we're beating each other up in the primaries, and then we're not gonna have any gas left in the tank, financially, physically, emotionally, for November.
They're gonna easily. I mean, look. They're gonna. Lois Frankel is gonna go poof to whoever wins that CD22 race. And I know we don't generally talk about higher level stuff, but it's all showing up in our own local. Like, it's the same thing that's happening. Everything. It's all like the same fighting, all of the same stuff. It's all
a microcosm.
Exactly. It's all trickling down to.
A big word for you guys
and
today.
we're not. And we're just. I just have never been so disappointed in people not being able to hold decorum in a room with a candidate that they don't like who's talking, and then just yelling at them. Like, I've never seen, and from the Republican side, I've never seen people behave this way. It's like they feel like they have no consequences to their behavior. And it's mind-boggling to me. I've never seen anything like this.
Well, the thing that boggles my mind, too, is it's like there's no substance behind what they're saying. So it's like there's no conviction in the argument, right? It's just
like Democrats.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
You're acting like Democrats. I'm sorry.
It's like if it looks like a Democrat, if it talks like a Democrat, it's probably a Democrat.
If a candidate talks about supporting something like DEI and masking people and is proud of that, that is not something that I, as a Republican,
those are not conservative
values.
values.
Not conservative values. And I don't care how much you want to put lipstick on a pig; it's still a pig.
That's a throwback to 2008.
Is it really?
Sarah Palin.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. I forgot. I did not mean to throw back, but yeah. Hey, look at me. I'm still politically savvy. It is. I am not. I'm literally saying what someone said on the stage about a question that was asked. They supported this. They didn't think anything was wrong with it, and was proud of the fact that they masked people.
Yep.
And the way that COVID was handled in Palm Beach County. Right there, that should make you be like, nope. If that person had come out and said, I disagreed at the time, I agreed with, but I've learned more and I disagree now, or I don't like. Okay, sure. No, proud of the fact was shocking to me.
And would do it again.
And would do it again. Would do it again. I suggest you go back and watch the debate, the sheriff debate, if you want to know what I'm talking about. You can make the decision for yourself.
Yeah.
But that was shocking to me. Mm-hmm. And that people are just like, sure, no problem. They are so...
No, they're actively pushing it.
No, what I'm saying, they are so invested in their candidate that they cannot hear it literally like Democrats. They're so invested in Kamala Harris that they cannot hear the truth of who she is and what she's saying, that her suggestion to bring down food costs is socialism. They're like, no. It's fine. This is all fine. It's all good. That's what's happening in the Republican side of things. No. It's fine. It's all good. DEI, he doesn't really think that. He just said it, but he doesn't really think that. Or masking is fine. He doesn't really think that, but he just said it, but he doesn't really think that. What the? Beep. I didn't do it. I held it in. Sorry, guys. I'm a little feisty tonight. So, what else is new? I mean, I can keep ranting. Yeah. I can rant for the next hour if you all want me to.
The thing of it is that we created this system that we're in, regardless of whether or not we participated in it. So it's like, because we weren't paying attention, or the ones before us that did it. And I think a lot of us that came in, like late 2020, early 2021, actually just kind of wanted to, look, I'll speak for myself. I can only speak for myself. My thought process was I did not like 2020. I did not like how it went. I was furious. I was angry. I was like, how does this happen? And instead of going and joining the REC and yelling and screaming at people, I decided to figure out how it worked and how this happened. So it's like, you can't fix it. You can't yell and scream at it. You can't throw shoes at the TV and expect it to be fixed. It's like, you have to actually understand what the mechanism is that created this in the first place. Mm-hmm. So it's like, once you, and this is the same with our government. If you want to change our government, you need to be able to go into the government, find out how it works, and then be able to understand the process that created it, so that then you can take the steps to uncreate it. If you go in like a wrecking ball and think that you know everything, like... It's like so many people think that they know, and if
Oh
I
my
was doing it, I would do it better.
My favorite is sitting in candidate forums and candidates who just say things that I'm like,
That's not how this
that's
works.
not how any of this
This
works. I'm sorry. I kind of am excited. Not gonna lie. If some of the candidates get elected to these positions that they want to get into, I'm gonna pop some popcorn and just watch it.
But that's
all
the thing,
happen.
is I'm saying is that's why if some of these people get into office, they will never elect another Republican again.
Yeah.
And we need the NPAs in order to beat the Democrats, period.
Yeah.
We have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so unless literally they would have to come out and like Heil Hitler for the for the NPAs to not vote for them at that point.
Yeah.
Like
we will lose the NPAs. Yeah.
Exactly. And people do not understand the concepts of our county. They do not understand how many people do not pay attention to local politics.
Correct.
We live in a paradise society.
Yeah.
Where everybody just lives their lives, and there's palm trees, and there's beaches, and there's pools, and there's weekend
Manicured lawns and brunches. And it's all
it's
just
like hair salons and nail appointments. Like
Oh my
that's
gosh.
the county that we live in. And people forget. I was a life coach. I am a life coach. I've coached hundreds of clients, and people don't understand the human element to politics. They don't understand the humanity of it.
Yeah.
You have to appeal to voters where they are.
Yeah.
And if you continue to go negative, that's all they see. They don't care if you have any substance. They don't care if you have any good talking points.
Nope.
They don't care. They're like, and then people who don't pay attention, that's just politics. Everybody lies. And you want to know what their thought process is? I'll just vote for the best liar that I think is telling the truth.
I'll
That's
just vote for the
really-
signs that I like the best.
Yeah. Like I like that design better than this one.
I see
Or-
that sign everywhere, so I'll vote for that
Yeah.
one.
Without actually like
Because
vetting
they
the
don't believe
candidates.
anything that, or they just quit voting altogether. I know people who just stop voting. They're like, everyone lies. Everyone gets into office.
My
and
vote doesn't matter.
My vote doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah,
all
it's
of
all
this.
a corrupt system. It's all a corrupt
So,
system. I
I'm
hear
just
that
going
one
to
a
take my
lot.
hands off it and go live my life until
And it's
the
like
Stasi
this is
come knocking at my door.
This is exactly where we are. Like
Yeah.
this is why we're where we are. And
this is why we're losing our country.
Right, and I have a bird's eye view of how rhinos get into office. I'm watching it. I am watching it right now,
It's
exactly
crazy.
how it happens. And I'm like, I have nothing to blame but my own party for doing it. Like, if it walks like a duck, if it talks like a duck, it's
a duck.
It's probably a duck.
Quack, quack.
Like, come on. Like, the textbook definition of rhino, and it's like they're comparing themselves to Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump. I'm like, are you serious?
Oh, my gosh.
I'm like, to
It's
live
like we're
in
living
this-
in the Truman Show.
Yeah, somebody said it best to me the other day. They were like, it's the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is such a fitting statement to exactly what we're going through. It
Do
is
you-
the wild, wild west.
Do you guys think that it's because the pressure in the world is so intense right now with all the things that are going on, and the pressure that we like, that the fatalistic look of like, okay, well, if Kamala gets elected, then we're screwed. Like, that's it. We're done. Like, there'll be no more. Like, we're done. Do you think that that's causing people like that trickling down into like everywhere, regardless of party, regardless of values, to just be like unhinged?
Yeah, because I think part of it is the fact that you have so many people that care so much about beating a Democrat at no matter what the cost, without actually understanding and evaluating and vetting the candidates as they are. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like they care more about beating the Democrat and they don't care with who.
What do you think, Abby?
I think discourse is just broken down over the last probably 8 years. I think
Like the ability to have
yes.
basic conversations.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
talk
like,
through
it's
things and
just-
not be emotional.
I
about
think
it.
it started during the Obama administration, but then obviously when Donald Trump ran and for the first time in 2016, people were so polarized by his
Yeah.
candidacy, and then he won and shocked everybody, and then he became president, and it was like resist for 4 years and just constant, and then COVID happened, and like 2020 elections happened, and I mean we were kind of saying the same thing, like, oh, if Biden wins, like it's over, and it's
gotten worse. It's gotten real
worse.
bad. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't think it's going to be over immediately, but I would say we're on the slide to. I don't see recovery.
I think political discourse is broken down, but I think it's broken down on both sides because I think people have become angry on the right as well, and you have a whole bunch of keyboard warriors now that typically are behind their computers and just throw stuff out into the ether that and don't care what it sounds like.
And then are they coming out from behind the computers and they don't know how to function and have a conversation?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Well, everybody, I think, especially when it comes to politics, they lack conviction in their principles.
Well, it's become politics has become like a sport.
Yeah,
it's become it's a blood sport, but it's become a sport. Like this is the jersey I wear, this is the team I support. If you ask my family, like we're Denver Broncos fans. If you ask us what football team we support, even though I don't really watch football as much anymore, but if you ask my family, anybody in my family, what team? Broncos. Why? Well, we're from there. Well, my brother was born and raised in Florida, Broncos fan to the end, like has the jerseys, like, Broncos fan, born and raised in Florida, but a Broncos fan. Why? Because this is the jersey we wear. This is who we are. It's a way to be connected. It's a way to be a part of a team.
Yeah.
And the conviction of the actual joining of the team for a specific reason sometimes isn't there, or maybe it was there, or it gets muddled in the rah, sis kumbah, I'm part of the Republican team, I'm part of team this candidate or team this candidate, and this, therefore, we're going to follow that candidate into the bitter end, just like you root for a team that loses every single year. You've got that, but it doesn't matter. You're going to stay with them. It doesn't matter their principle. I don't know.
Cleveland Browns. Factory of sadness.
Factory of sadness. My kids asked me today, because they know that with all the friends at school talking about football seasons, they're asking me today, they're like, did the Broncos ever win a Super Bowl? And I had to go back through Broncos history. Yeah. And I explained Broncos
Elway
history.
And Peyton Manning.
Yes, they did. They were back-to-back champions. Thank you very much. And Super Bowl 50. I almost named my daughter.
I only cheered for the Broncos
Von
when
Miller.
Tim Tebow was on the team.
And I was trying to explain to them. I was going with this analogy. So I was explaining to them they're like, but they're not good right now. I'm like, no, they're not good right now, but we still support. So the analogy kind of spills over. It isn't perfect, but I just feel like that's kind of how people have become. That they're just. It doesn't matter how bad someone has become as a candidate or as a party.
Right.
You have to leave it. I want to look at. Let's look at the Democrats and how you've got your moderate Democrats. What are you giggling at?
Janine just put in the chat that she's a diehard Buckeye, and I
Go
had to
blue.
reply, "Ew,
Go
go
blue."
Gators."
Go blue. Go blue. Go
Sorry, Janine, you're
I know
way
nothing about
outnumbered.
college football, so I'm going to stay neutral on this. My best friend's daughter is a Gator, so I'm there, but I didn't go to college. I don't know anything about college football. But, yeah. Janine. Thanks for joining us, Janine.
Well,
And Baba Bill also said, we are on the fast track on the Intel train since 2020, but we are connected by the deplorable college to our ultimate victory. That was a while back, so I'm not really sure what Bill's referring to, but we love you, Bill.
Love you,
Thank
Baba
you for your
Bill.
support.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. Something along the lines of I think that have we watched the Democrats just get away with crap for so long? We're
I
just
know.
screw it. We're just gonna be just as crazy as they are. I'm
Yeah.
tired of walking the right.
It's like people join the Republican Party. It's like, oh, I'm part of the Republican, but they don't actually take their responsibility seriously.
What does it mean to be a Republican? What does it mean to be a part of the party? What does it mean for all of these things?
So it's like you have your regular voter that just has an R on their thing, and they say hey, I want to vote in the Republican primary, and I support Republican candidates, and so that's a majority of our voters, right? In any scenario, and then you have the party Republicans that are within
the Cool Kids Club.
just kidding. The BRAC
Totally kidding.
or the REC.
Which I'm fringing on now. How much longer do I have? I just re-upped. Oh my gosh. Sorry, go ahead.
So you have the people that are in the REC. They're the ones that are supposed to be talking with the candidates, vetting the candidates, explaining and trying to understand what the views of the candidates are, what their importance are, what kind of leader will they be? Can they do the job? You're like the ultimate human resource manager for politics.
Everyone hates human resources.
Exactly.
It's a minefield.
Exactly. But then we're, as REC members, are supposed to take that information back to our precincts and go, this this is what we've learned. These are the candidates that are in front of you. And then if they ask for your personal opinion, you can say, hey, yes, I spoke to that candidate, or I spoke to both of these candidates. This is what this is what their platform is. This is what you're supposed to be, that information channel to our local voters, because we can't get information to our voters anymore. We have HOAs that are in the way. We have high mailing costs that are in the way. We have so many things that deflect us and keep us from voters. So that responsibility relies on our REC members to stay a cool head, to be able to have a compare and contrast against the candidates so that the best ideas win, and it's a healthy debate of ideas. Then you give it to the voters, and then they decide what direction that they want to go. And we don't do that. We don't do that. We don't take that seriously. And we don't keep people within those guidelines by calling them out on their behavior and saying that this is okay, this is not okay. We can do this differently. We have so many campaigns that are off the rails, that are like breaking the rules and endorsing
For the record,
candidates.
you are not supposed to endorse a candidate as an REC member or
No.
as a candidate for state committee, because you are supposed to be neutral.
Exactly.
And yeah,
You're supposed to be a neutral representative of the Republican
all the
Party.
time.
All the time. And so unless you put personal, so this says personal, my personal picks on a note that does not look like red or REC colors or with an elephant on it
or with the logo.
or with a logo or anything to
You can also check out jessicajansen.com, where my personal picks are.
on your
and
personal website.
on my personal website.
So
exactly.
Personal.
And it
I
says
get to, as Josie,
personal picks.
personal picks.
And I put a disclaimer.
Oh, you went a step further than I did. Mine
And
just
what my qualifications are in choosing those candidates.
I just said personal picks. But personal picks. I, as Josie, have an opinion about who I think would be the best person to. Abby has an opinion as who she thinks, not as wearing her Breck hat, not as wearing her treasurer Breck hat, or her commissioner hat.
I can actually endorse people as a commissioner.
Oh, you
Yeah.
can?
I
Oh,
can.
that's true. You
Yeah.
can as a commissioner.
Elected officials can.
I can. Yeah. So I can endorse somebody as a city commissioner, and I have, but not as a precinct committee woman or the treasurer of Breck.
Exactly.
That's correct.
I have
These
stayed
are
neutral.
just simple things. These are rules. When we sign that loyalty oath and we sign those things, that's what we're agreeing to. So these are rules. These are not rules that have been thrown at you. It's not like they suddenly changed the game and now you have to play by different. No, these are rules that you agreed to when you became a Breck member or an REC member.
Yeah.
It's not that complicated. My kids understand this crap. There are rules that you play by in a game, and if you cheat, you get caught cheating, then nobody wants to play with you. That's what I tell my kids. They're like, well, what if I'm like, they're little, right? So we're teaching about, that's cheating. I'm like, well, when you do that, that's cheating. Oh, well, nobody wants to play with people who cheat.
Yeah, that's right.
That's why we don't want to play with the Democrats. And guess what? If we as Republicans start doing that, we are no better than they are, and I will not be a we, I will be an I, and I will just do my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't cheat.
exactly.
Don't cheat. Nobody likes a cheater.
I mean, and if you're a candidate, learn the rules. You get a candidate handbook from the SOE that kind of tells you the basics. You can call the supervisor of elections. You can call the Florida State Elections
Or if
office.
you're a municipal candidate, your city clerk.
Yes.
Yeah.
You
yes.
get it. I mean, I know in Lighthouse Point, like I got a campaign or a candidate packet, and it had
All the rules.
the link to the campaign treasurer's handbook on the state, the
Yep. Tells
Division
you
of
what you
Elections
need to put
website.
disclaimers on and what you
and
don't.
I can tell you that I get a lot of questions, and I've gotten a lot of questions over the last year and a half since I've been in the treasurer role for the party about certain things.
Yeah.
And I was like, have you read the campaign treasurer handbook? Because it's in the handbook. And I get it. Like, nobody wants to
Nobody
read
wants
boring
to read it.
manuals. But if you don't do your own research and homework and understand the rules, like, you are setting yourself up for real potential issues as a candidate. Like,
That's
if you
right.
don't understand campaign finance rules and the basics, you know,
Disclaimer.
like, how much can somebody donate to your campaign in cash? Hot tip: don't take cash.
Yeah, don't do it.
Yeah.
Pain in the neck.
Checks
Pain
and like,
in the neck.
yeah.
Pain in the neck.
Yeah.
Don't
how
do
much
it.
can a person give you maximum as a candidate? You know, like
Can
these-
their wife give you?
yeah.
Like,
Can their business
can
give
their
you?
business give you?
Yeah.
I mean, simple.
What's
you
an
know,
in-kind donation, and how does an in-kind donation work?
and how does it get reported?
How's it
and
get
what do you
reported?
need?
And was there a cap on in-kind donations?
What kind of information do you
there is.
need to collect from each of your donors? Like, if it's
Yeah.
over a certain amount, like you need their occupation, you need their address,
Yep.
you need,
When to
it's-
file your treasurer's reports and how to file them. I mean, like, look, a lot of candidates I know hire treasurers, and that's if you're able.
You
to do
should.
that.
You should. As a
should.
candidate, you
Yes.
should not be
Yes.
your own treasurer.
No, don't.
And
do
I
it.
say that as a CPA. I was not my
I
own
say
treasurer.
that as a candidate who was my own treasurer, and I just recommend it. Thankfully, I didn't raise that much money, so it wasn't too big of a deal. But as someone who is not like spreadsheets and does not like
Yeah.
doing math,
Oh, spreadsheets are my love
I
language.
mean,
no, they're not mine. I was like, what in the hell did I get
And
myself
it's
into?
not. It's not overly complicated.
It's not.
Like,
I
it's-
figured
it's-
it out. I
right.
just didn't
It's-
enjoy it. It was very
pretty
stressful.
I mean, the rules are pretty straightforward of the guide that you're supposed to follow, and the idea is that if everybody just kind of follows the same rule, then everybody knows that okay, we ran a good campaign, everything's on the up and up, it's up to the voters, they get
Guess
to
what? You don't
decide.
get sued.
And you don't get sued.
Well, you don't feel like you have to sue someone. Now, if you're suing just because you're bitter, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. I tell you what, I know I've said this on the podcast before, but when I ran in 22 against the incumbent and obviously wasn't successful back then, we kept the campaign focused on the issues.
That's right.
We each ran our own campaigns. We were focused
Same.
on the issues. We didn't get in the mud. It was very positive. I now sit on the commission with him, so we have a good rapport, and we could work together. And I think that's what a lot of candidates they fail to see the long term.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of REC, like us, all the people who are active fail to see the long term. Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
If you are successful in your endeavors as a candidate, you are going to have to work with people who don't share your opinions.
Yeah.
And you have to figure out
You
how
can either be a wrecking ball and destroy the whole thing, and then you'll never get reelected and you'll never be able to do anything,
or you learn. It's interesting, and this segues into what's going on currently with me. You have to learn to get along with people, and you have to figure out a way to compromise without compromising your values.
That's right.
Mhm.
So what are the hills that you I had a professor in college, and he's it was a Christian class, it was a Bible class. What are the hills that you would die on for your faith? What are the very central tenets to your faith that you will not compromise on? These are your core values. But and as a candidate, as an elected official, you need to know what your core values are. If you say you're a conservative candidate, are your values conservative? Are you living? Do your actions speak as loud as your words? And what are the things you're willing to compromise on if you get elected? And what are you going to take a stand on?
These are great questions.
Right. And I think that a lot of people lead with such emotion that they don't actually look at the actions of the people. They just look at their talking points. There's just those, in the Republican
Rush Limbaugh called the drive-by media.
Yeah.
The headlines.
Yeah, so it's the Republican Party, there's a lot of candidates that push these, very right conservative views that are very, just those talking points, right?
The buzzwords, the emotion. They go in and they know what gets Republicans all, and they say all of those things in a checklist. It's crazy.
Exactly. But then it's well, how are you going to do the job? And they can't answer the question. Well, what is the budget? They can't answer the question. What is,
what in your past would indicate that you have a conviction that you're not going to just flip?
Exactly.
If you change parties, and I am all for redemption. I believe in redemption. I believe in the Bible. I believe that there is an opportunity for all of us to turn from our ways and repent and to live a different life. So I believe that that spills over into politics, faith, just being a better person, whatever place that someone needs to do that. But if somebody has not apologized and recognized the things that they have done that have not been good, confession, and owned those as a politician, and now they're saying things like that are those buzzwords, that is that checklist that's going to get but they don't have any substance to show that they are, and they say, the party left me, the Democrat Party left me. That's the big thing that the Democrats say. The Democrat Party, I didn't leave the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party left me, and so therefore I'm going to blah, blah, blah. Well, if you don't own up, if you were in office before, or you held a position in government before, and you don't own to the things that were not good, then why should we trust that what you're saying is true?
And
It doesn't add up.
And
it just
also,
doesn't work.
what kind of leader are you? Because
Right,
of
and then
the fact,
exactly, that's what I'm saying.
If you're in the Democrat Party and you don't like where the values are going, what did you do to stand up to your party to make sure that it was more connected to your voters? If you didn't do that and you just decide to just, take your
Ride the
marbles and
coattails of the party that's rising,
and go and change your name, put an R behind your name and say, hey, I stand for these values.
I'm going to close the border, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that.
But with no action plan, with no actual reality of none of the actions stand in that conviction.
Correct. That's exactly my point.
You can say all you want and you can say those points, but I'm looking at your actions.
Exactly. And if you haven't come and owned the actions that you did that were not good, then why should we trust that when you get to Washington, or you get to Tallahassee, or you get to West Palm Beach, or wherever we're trying to send you, that you're not just going to be like, which way are the political winds blowing now?
Yeah.
Because your history does not show that you were going to be a person who stands on, like what Abby said, on your convictions and on your values. It just doesn't. And them's the apples. I mean, I don't know.
And then we're traitors when we point it out.
Yeah.
When I'm like, apparently I'm a traitor when I point out a candidate's behavior that is not becoming of a Republican.
Traitor.
I'm paid by the opposition. Apparently, I'd like to know when that check comes.
She's going to take us all out to dinner, so you let us know so we can all be a part of that.
And I'm like,
she's going to keep the lights on.
I'm standing for my party values and my views. And if somebody is coming into the party and not representing my views, it's my obligation as an REC member to say, wait a minute here. We have to look at this, and we need to make sure that we're all behind something like this, and not allowing a good candidate to get trashed for whatever reason because they want to do smear campaigns and bad tactics. And it's like, if we don't call that behavior out and call people,
what are we doing?
Exactly, and call people on their oath.
What are we conserving?
Exactly.
What are we conserving? If we are not going to stand for things on our conservative values, then what are we conserving? Yeah. Why? Why are we doing this? I'm just going to go to the beach.
I have a lot of other things I could be doing.
So many other things I could be doing with my life. I mean, I love this. This is I get to hang out with my buddies and chat with everyone. I mean, I love this part. This part I don't want to do. But all the others, there's so many other things I could be doing with my life.
I'm actually working. I want to propose a rule that I want to work with our future state committee man and committee woman, whoever that may be, on August 20th, to put forth a rule to hopefully we could get it changed in the RPOF that you cannot run as a Republican candidate unless you are a Republican for at least 24 months before the campaign.
Before you file.
So from 1 year to 2.
Yep. Because of the fact that you literally can just change your spots and then you don't have to do anything to really do any hard work within the party. You don't have to do anything.
I would like to also add, and I don't know if this is from a RPOF level or we could do it at the county levels if the counties vote for it. I would like to see so we know that from the Republican executive and committee people that we are not supposed to take sides in a contested Republican election, right? That being said, they do get opportunity to speak in front of Republican events, Republican clubs. Candidates do. All the candidates. They usually invite all the candidates to come in. I would like to see some type of rule put forward that a candidate is not allowed to speak in front of an official Republican event unless they have signed a document stating that they will run a fair and clean race against the other Republican and then support, at least not support, but at least not go negative on the other Republican should that other person win.
Yep.
Because it's not going to prohibit people from running. You can run all you want. Nobody's saying no as a Republican. No, don't run. You can run. You just will not get, and it doesn't mean that you can't speak the truth about, but if you start to seeing the mud that we're slinging, seeing the nastiness, if you get nasty, nobody's going to be like, no, you can't, we're not going to, you don't get a platform. You don't
Right.
get a platform to speak
Right.
to official Republican events because a lot of candidates have garnered volunteer support from going to clubs, from going to REC meetings, from going to places where they get a platform that the Republican Party gives them to then pull their volunteers in and stir all this crap up. So if we can somehow prohibit that from happening and make it so if you want to come and have that moment, have that 1 minute microphone spot, then you have to agree that you're going to run a fair and clean race against your Republican. Now, when the Democrat, that's different. But against a fellow Republican, no.
Right, because if we don't have decorum and have it come down to the healthy debate of ideas
Yes.
so that we know the direction that we want to take whatever seat that is, whether whether it's Congress, whether it's a Senate race, whether it's a state rep race,
State committee person.
Exactly. Like, we need to be able to understand what the vision is from the candidate, and we never get to see that because of all of this nonsense.
Except for on our debate. Highly recommend watching the debate because I do feel like that we were able to see, because we asked them all the same questions except for 2 questions. They each got a personal question, all of the same questions. They all got the same amount of time to answer it. It really does give a side-by-side answer to some questions that we felt were, that Al and I put together that we felt were important. Shout out to Al, who helped spearhead everything and support it and was my co-moderator and stuff. So those types of things, that's what we need to see more of.
Yes.
Is opportunity to hear from the candidates of their actual values, their actual platforms, what they're going to do, and let that be the standing, and not how many people show up behind a candidate or how big the candidate's flags are, or how much they heckle somebody else in a candidate forum or yell at the candidate forum. Like, that's not how we determine. As Republicans, we need to be better than that.
Yeah.
I challenge every Republican out there to be better than that. Because this is not a party that I want to be connected to with that type of behavior.
And the thing of it is it's like, I mean, I've said on this podcast several times, it's like self-governance is hard. It's hard work.
It is.
You have to vet your candidates. You have to feel comfortable. You have to understand. You have to be willing to ask them the tough questions. You have to, there's several candidates I sat down and had coffee with, and so my process is always I vet the candidate, and then when I'm ready to throw my support, I sit down and talk with them, and then I'm like, okay, so this is, tell me your plans. Tell me what you want to say. And it's like, if there's something that they've done or something that I don't agree with, I ask them, well, my concern is this. And then it's about how do they answer? Do they get, all defensive, or do they lean into it and go, oh, I understand your concern. Like, I can understand how it looks.
I have a similar process.
And then I'm like, okay, so then depending on how they speak in person, how, do their actions, do their body language match their words? Like, I can tell usually when people are telling the truth because I pay attention to human behavior. Yeah. So it's like I lean into that, and I'm like, okay, I never flat out say, hey, I support you. Like, I'm like, okay, I'll take everything under consideration, and I'll talk. If there's something that we can do together, I'll let you know. And then I just make my personal decision. Yeah. Very seldom does a candidate ever come back to me and say, hey, did I earn your support? Very seldom does that ever happen. But I always treat them with respect. Always treat them with respect and always fairness, especially in an official situation, like at an REC meeting or my region meetings or whatever else. Like, I mean, I may not care for you as a candidate personally, but I will always give you that fair reign to be able to, follow the process and do whatever else. I'm not
Get your 1 minute.
Yeah, I'm not going to stack things against you because
which I'm hoping to take away from you. No, I'm just kidding.
Because I know the truth. I know and it's up to everybody else to be able to see that. And I provide a forum, whether it's on this podcast or in my meetings, for REC members and voters to be able to see that compare and contrast with candidates.
That's what we're supposed to do. I mean, it's also just, it's really bad look. I went to a candidate forum in a heavy Democrat atmosphere, which they were gracious. They invited every candidate on the ballot, both for the primary. So if there were primary candidates, everyone for the every race from county commission up to state house. So there was county commission races, there was sheriffs, there was supervisor of elections, state house. I think that was it. If that's about right. Anyway, so we had a contingent of Republicans showing up to support our Republican candidates, which I think is great because historically we don't get a lot of play in these places. It's one of these HOAs of the HOAs type organizations. And I was embarrassed because there was heckling of candidates. There was laughing at their opponents, the primary opponent's speech or video or whatever it was. And it was just uncomfortable. Like they were just their whole mannerism was very icky. It was like they were entitled to be in that space. And I didn't want to look like I was associated with some of them because it was embarrassing. I was like, this is why Democrats hate us. Yeah. You are the reason that they hate us because you were they're like, it was rude. They were hosting this place. They opened it up, allowed people to come in. It was icky, and I don't like it. And I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah, it's like
gave me ick.
And in some scenarios, like in working in politics, and work, for the county commission for a little bit, and having to sit down at a table with like Lois Frankel, like that's not the funnest thing to do in the world.
No, although she is funny.
Well, yeah, she is. But it's like you know what she stands for. So there's this level of like cringe.
I have to sit by you at this table, but then you're cracking jokes, and I'm like,
but it's like there's also this level of professionalism that we have to have, regardless. Voters voted her in, and I like to have that respect for our residents,
just for people, like just respect people around you, like. Just
I'm like, I don't get it, but and then I saw how she gets in, because she comes to the community, she
chats and she works the room, and like I said, cracks jokes at the table,
and they pay no attention to her record or what she votes for.
Because she's Grandma Frankel, Lois Frankel, coming in and chatting with everyone.
Oh, she's so nice. She brought back so much money. It's all
she
great.
did,
and she did. And I'm not supporting her whatsoever. No. I'm just saying this is how they do politics. And we're over here yelling and screaming at each other.
At our own Republican candidates.
Yeah, like we look like fools.
And I'm not for nothing either. Everyone showed up, and obviously, I know who you all know who I'll be voting for in November at the top of the ticket. I will be voting for Trump. I support Trump. I have my own Trump hat. I have the gear. People showed up to this Cobra meeting in like head to toe Trump gear. And I was just like, wow.
Read the room, folks. Read the room.
Move. I mean, more power to you, but I was like, wow, bold move. And then they're the ones heckling the people. And I'm like, so
we play into their narrative.
How are we going to win over maybe a moderate person who really hates Kamala? They're going to be like, yeah, but I was in this room and all these Trumpers, they're just so mean and rude. And like, I was like,
they watched themselves of the process. They're like, I'm not voting this year.
Yeah,
like, this
it works for us, but we could have. That's a lost opportunity to have. Like, I'll go back to using a religious terminology. Is what is your witness like?
Yeah.
Like, if you want to bring someone to your faith, or you want to talk to them about what you believe in, and communicate to that, and you're acting a fool. Acting a fool. Why would they want to ask you anything about it? Same thing in politics. If you want to bring them to your side and convince them that you have the better candidate, that you have the better platform, that you have the better values, why would they do that when you're sitting there acting the fool?
Yeah.
No, thankfully we have so many great volunteers.
We do. I know. I think we're all like intense about all the craziness.
It's like, I mean, some of our Republican supporters, and that really just have vetted candidates and are just trying to make sure that
we should probably lift this up a little.
That they get,
so ranty.
Sorry, guys. I mean, for me, like, light always wins, and sometimes we have to expose the dark, and this is the dark side.
That's what light does,
right? So it's like this is the dark side of our party, and if we don't call it out, who does? So, but also it's like there's a lot of light. There's so many, God-loving Republicans in our county that just want good governance. That's all they care about, and that's what it should be about.
They want people to leave them alone.
Yeah.
I just want to be left alone.
Yeah, just leave me alone.
I was talking, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was talking to my kids today. They're super questioning, especially my 5-year-old. It's question after question after
a little
question. Yep. And I'm like, what have I created? Because I've always encouraged them to ask questions about anything. And so now we're getting questions about anything.
I love that. I wish my mom would have encouraged me to ask questions.
There's just so many questions. But some of everything from like, why is this? And then my youngest just started school. So it's like, what's this word mean? And what's that? So he's very like, and he's been doing that really all summer, but like it's kicking up in the last few days. Anyway, So we were on I-95 and getting off, and I can't remember exactly how it came up, but we started talking about roads. And I was like, yeah, roads, like, why is this road this way or whatever? I don't know, something like that. I'm talking about roads. And I was like, okay, so this is what's called infrastructure. Oh, no, that's what it was. It was railroads because there was a train. The train was next to us.
The murder train?
Oh, gosh.
The train. And they were like, when trains crash, is that because if they go the fastest they can go, is that what makes trains crash? And I was like, well, I think it has more to do with the quality of the tracks. And if the tracks are not maintained really well, then it doesn't really matter how, yes, faster is going to make it crash harder. But if it's going slow and the tracks are not maintained very well, then the whole thing is going to crash anyway. If we don't take care of the things that we have and the process that we have, everything, it's all going to, and so trains and roads and airports, this is what's called infrastructure. And what's infrastructure? So I had to explain. And so this is what this is because we have to understand like the world that we're living in.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like, and I said, and this is what government is supposed to take care of. Good government is supposed to make sure that the infrastructure functions. And trash, because I took them to the Solid Waste Authority over the summer, so they're all, understand that. I was like, what would happen if nobody came to pick up the trash?
Ugh.
It would pile up, and it would be gross, right? Be stinky. Yeah. I was like, think about all that rotten fruit and all the stuff. Yeah. Gross. I was like, and then guess what happened? People get sick because that carries diseases. And then now we have sickness. Rats, all kinds of stuff. Ugh. So I said, so we have to have good infrastructure, which is overseen by good government. And so if we don't elect good people who are going to have a good understanding of what infrastructure is and how to take care of infrastructure, because they're like, Joe Biden, he's not taking care of the infrastructure. He's not doing these things. Well, why isn't he? Well, that's a good question.
He likes to take naps.
He likes to nap.
He said he was going to.
Didn't they do some kind of bill or something on it? But anyway, so I just was tagging on to what you're saying of like making sure like this is part of what we need to be focusing on is our good governance to make sure that we have our infrastructure. Make sure we have things that they're supposed to take care of and then leave us alone.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you bring those two things up, good self-governance and also like taking care of infrastructure, because I know that there have been some social media posts, and this is in my realm, about like, why are we spending money on repair and maintenance of the bridges in Lighthouse Point? Well, it's like you want to extend the life of those bridges for as long as possible, so you have all that time to prepare for the extraordinary amount of money needed to replace each of those 50 to 70-year-old bridges in town. And so like I think it's incredibly short-sighted and ignorant when people don't realize why we're spending money on maintenance while we
they don't
gear
understand
up.
why you're spending money on maintenance. It's
And-
like
and-
your air conditioner.
And again, it's like
maintain it so it keeps running.
self-governance is hard.
Yes.
Staying tuned in is hard. Attending city commission meetings or county commission meetings is hard. It's dry. It's boring stuff.
Boring.
Very boring. They use
Agendas are boring.
They use big terms that
acronyms that nobody knows what they mean except for them, and you're like, what is it? And you spend the next 5 minutes going, what does that
Right.
mean?
It's a lot for one individual person to pay attention to, but that's why like part of the role of the precinct committee men and women is like tag team that stuff.
Yeah.
Like figure out like take turns.
Especially in non-election years. Like
Yeah.
that's really
That's
what we
really when we need to be watching it. Now
Yeah.
everyone, even higher elected officials are not doing. I mean, I don't know if they're doing that much. I feel like everyone's, but that's when nobody's watching.
So, and just to put this beef to rest, what is the more conservative stance? Spending some money now to extend the life of your assets, or scrimping and saving, being short-sighted, and then having to pay a bigger amount sooner, which you don't have saved, you don't have that money in reserve, and you're scrambling to get financing, to get lending,
And if you don't have good money in reserves, then you're not going to be able to get good financing.
Correct.
So
what's the more conservative position?
Good point. It's a very good point. It's interesting because
So-
I
I mean, like, these are very real issues, and like going back to like what's going on
Well,
with
I think
me.
that's a lot of like a lot of our municipalities have these issues because they weren't maintaining things and they weren't extending the lives of them, and then they don't have any money for capital projects because they're spending it on EV machines machines and, like the
Or they
Green New
just-
Deal stuff.
Or they just, like, I get it. Like, the conservative viewpoint is to keep taxes as low as
Yeah.
possible. But that's also somewhat short-sighted
Yep.
in many instances. And sometimes, like, as a financial coach, I'm always encouraging my clients, like, you got to have an emergency fund. You have to have reserves. You need to have sinking funds. So, like, like when you need to buy a new car, you should be saving up for that. If you want to go on an extravagant vacation, you should be saving up for that. You don't want to put that all on a credit card and be making payments on it for
It
months
sucks.
and months and months after you come back from the vacation.
Not for those, just for things. So credit card payments suck, especially when interest rates are 25%.
Yep.
Yeah,
crazy.
30%. I mean, most
I
credit
don't know. We
cards now
negotiated
are,
ours down, so ours are not that, but they
yeah.
were.
But like.
And they weren't vacations. It was just Bidenomics.
Bidenomics, yeah, but
For the record.
and that's the thing. I mean,
I wish it was vacations because then at least I'd have something fun to look back
Right,
on while
exactly.
paying it off.
municipalities need to have reserves.
Yes.
just
Yep.
like we as
Have savings
individuals
accounts.
need to have sinking funds for
Yeah.
for what we need. So, like,
Exactly.
should the city commission decades ago started like a bridge fund?
Yeah.
Mhm.
They probably should have.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the fixed assets only have an expected lifespan, and once
It's
that
like your
lifespan's
health.
over,
Take care of your health so you're not in the hospital and
Right.
out of the hospital your whole life. Like it's the same thing. I mean,
But-
I know that people have things anyway, but like take care of
Yeah.
the things that we have. Like
Yeah.
this is not a crazy concept.
yeah.
It's very true.
So yeah, I mean, like,
Well, we live in such a society. I want the things, but I,
I
don't.
want the new
Instant
phone. I want
gratification.
the new
Yeah.
phone right now for the record.
and I know
Still has a button.
I know
A shattered corner.
a phrase that has stuck with me
'Cause I refuse.
ever since friend of the show Brian Stenberg was a guest back in the fall.
Brian! Shout
Gosh,
out.
It's going on a year ago now.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's right.
The wheels of government turn very slowly, and
Yes.
often it's by design, and we kind of want it that way because we don't want our government doing anything in a very rushed manner.
Quickly,
That's
yeah.
right.
You got to read the bill before you can pass it, or you got to pass the bill so you can read it.
In a
That kind
wagon.
of stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff takes a long time.
Yeah.
I so something that I went to this afternoon and I'll be going to the next 2 days is the Florida League of Cities annual conference. So talking about like learning how government works, learning like at the local level, and a lot of what I went to this afternoon was like, what form of government are you, and what is a charter? And it's interesting because I feel like I'm ahead of the curve because I sat on the charter review committee and I got elected to the commission and I'm dealing with this stuff. And one of the main things that we dealt with on the charter review committee is our form of government. Were we going to stay strong mayor? Were we going to go to city council manager form?
Which strong mayor? Can you explain real quick for those who might not
So
know?
the strong mayor is a executive. When you think about the three branches of government, the commission is the legislative body. They create ordinances, which are like the laws of the city. Whereas a strong mayor is an executive. He is the city, basically the administrator of the city.
A mayor, when you think of a traditional mayor, when you think of the mayor of the city, like
Yeah.
the person in
Whereas
charge.
with a city council manager form of government, the executive rights lie with the city manager. So you have a full-time city manager that runs the day-to-day operations of the city, and the mayor in that instance is a member of the commission and is a voting member of the legislative body, and it's more of a figurehead, more of a symbolic
They get to smack the gavel.
cut ribbons,
call the meeting
that
to
kind of
order.
stuff. Yeah, they run the
Sign.
meeting,
Sign.
and yeah. So it's a very there are two very different forms of government, and one of the forms of government they brought up in the session this afternoon is a pure commission form where each commissioner is a department head, and I'm like, ooh,
That's intense.
like. Abby Stafford, city commissioner, also department head of the
Parks
public
and
works department.
Parks and Recreation.
Yeah, I'm Leslie Nope. I am Leslie Nope. But, like most people, most residents, most, people don't understand all these things.
No,
and,
people think that the mayor's the mayor, regardless if they are in charge or not.
yeah.
Yeah.
If it's a strong mayor or not, people have no idea that most cities who are run by city managers, the mayor is not in
Yeah,
charge.
and the
Right.
The
thing
person
that
in
always
charge.
stuck with me since 2020 is city manager, county administrator. These are unelected officials.
Yes.
Like, how are they going to be held accountable? And I always felt during 2020 and COVID, especially in Broward County, like the county commissioners hid behind the county
Yeah,
administrator.
same thing happened in Palm Beach County.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
She
They
was
would
the
literally
one
go,
signing.
Ms. Administrator, what do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think we should do?
So, question on the bridges in Lighthouse Point. Are you going to be enough so a semi can go across them and not fall into the river because it's an EV truck? Because you know that these
Are they heavier than
they're-
gas?
They're like 10 times heavier than gas.
Like 10 times, like 250,000
They're
pounds?
The batteries themselves are as heavy as a semi that's now.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's gonna.
And
so
then-
infrastructure. What's that gonna do to
Yeah.
our roads?
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, you imagine if you had to do EV semi trucks. They want to mandate this,
Yeah.
and so it's like the our roads, like parking lots. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
Who's
my
paying
God.
for that infrastructure?
You are.
We are.
The taxpayers. The government pays for it.
Yeah.
It's government money. It's public money.
Yeah.
It's public funds.
Yeah.
But all that to say, I am trying to be the very best city commissioner I can and
Aw.
learn all the things at the
I'm
League of
sure
Cities
you are.
annual conference and make connections.
Are the Boca people there?
I don't know. I literally just got there in the afternoon, went to the one seminar, Cities 101. And it's interesting. It's because, obviously there's officials from all over the state.
Mm-hmm.
So there were people from the Panhandle, and the woman was like, I'm from right on the Alabama line, and then
You're
you got
like,
you got
"Welcome
people
to
from
South
Miami and Broward, and it's just like, we live in a very diverse state.
We live in it. Yeah.
2 time zones. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you got different communities along the Gulf Coast, then you do the Atlantic Ocean, and
Yeah. It's so different.
every-
the Midwesterners over there on the West Coast.
isn't it interesting how different parts of the United States vacation in different parts of Florida?
Yep.
And
Yep.
I have vacationed with the Midwesterners in the different part of, well, it was technically Alabama, but it was very close to Floribama. And it was
Florida.
very different.
AKA the Redneck Riviera.
Yes. Yes, but it was all Midwesterners. So it was very different than East Coasters. I did see this, sorry, change it, just a funny thing. I saw this Instagram reel where this guy I follow, he's from New York, and he's moved down here, and he goes, listen, if you're from New York and you're planning to move to Florida, just stay out of the left lane. Those Floridians, they know what they're doing, and we do not. So stay out of the left lane.
Amen. And
I
amen.
agree totally.
I was like, yes!
Stay out of my way.
But think about it for a second. Some of these people who live in New York, they don't get their driver's license until they're 18, 19, 20, 25.
'Cause they don't need it.
Because they don't need it. And
Yeah.
then when they do get their driver's license, what are they learning to drive in? A city.
Yep.
Maybe a bridge to go across over here. Maybe a one little highway to go out to, like, I don't know, Montauk or wherever they're going. I don't know. Sorry. But, like, they're not driving on I-95. They're not crossing a county that is as big as our county. Like,
They're not going through a diamond interchange.
they're not going through a diamond interchange. They don't know that 95 means 95 miles an hour. Like, they just don't know these things. And so then they drive here thinking that they're driving like how they learned to drive in New York. And we're like, no. I tell my kids, I'm like, it's like driving. And they're like, Mom, nope. Driving in the video game, guys. I'm in the video game. Like, nobody talk. Sometimes I'm like, literally, when it's crazy, I'm like, nobody talk. Nobody say anything. I'm focused. And then it'll like calm down. I'm like, all right, what is it? What's up? Because I'll be like, nah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So you're the swerving mom.
I am not swerving. I am gunning.
Focused.
I just like to get where I'm going.
Me
Yeah.
I don't like to.
All I
mess
have to
around.
say is the Jetsons lied to me. I was supposed to have a flying car by now.
I tell you what,
Instead of
though,
inflation up the wazoo.
when a
and an
Tesla goes
iPhone.
by, it sounds like a Jetsons car, though.
Oh, that's true. We're close. We're close.
It does. Yeah, it's true. My kids are obsessed with the Cybertrucks.
I saw one. So usually they look like a scuffed up refrigerator. I saw one today that was like wrapped with like camo green.
Ooh,
So
that's
it
gonna
looked
be
like
cool.
yeah, it was like a matte green. I was like, oh, that's different from the stainless steel refrigerator look.
I
That's
saw one with like Spider-Man on it.
Oh, really?
interesting.
We're only seeing the black and refrigerator.
You know, the funny thing, I saw a meme like a while back that said, "How do you like it that the cars you were drawing as a 5 and 6 year old are now on the highway?" The Cybertrucks are because it was always square. It was never.
And then the triangles on the end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. It's like Elon Musk was like, "This was my 5-year-old dream. Here we go, make this." He goes into to Tesla and he's like, "This is what I want."
we we were all.
Or maybe he had his 5-year-old drive to draw it.
Yeah,
He's like,
We
I mean,
were
he's
all
got a lot of
designing
kids.
Teslas. You know.
We didn't know.
Oh,
long
did
time ago.
did you guys listen to him and Trump?
I listened to some of it. It's been a very long
Yeah.
couple of weeks.
Well,
it's been a marathon to get my kids ready for school.
Yeah, not that I want to focus on a whole lot of substance, but he did talk about like all of his Teslas. They're the S, E, X, and Y models.
Sexy.
So they spell sexy. I was like,
I never put that
I
together.
never-
What's
I
the
never-
E?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Look it up. Sorry, that was
Maybe-
very squeaky.
Maybe
my
that's
voice.
the next model to come out is the E.
But the Cybertruck doesn't have one of those model numbers, right?
There's a 3.
But it's like a 3 with a letter, right?
Isn't it an E?
I don't know.
I think the 3
Oh.
is the E.
The Tesla Model 3 almost became the Model E, but was prevented by Ford, according to the Googles.
Ah.
Oh, because
So the
Ford
3
has
is
a-
actually the E.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I was
What's
like,
the
oh.
Y?
The Model Y is the big, isn't it the one
with
that's
the
like,
arms?
um,
That looks like a spaceship.
I think it's like the kind of, isn't it the one that's kind of like a SUV almost?
That's the one
Yep.
that does the arms. That
Okay.
goes,
Yeah.
right?
I don't know.
No, that it's the Y, it's a crossover.
Oh, okay. Which is the one with the arms?
It's got to be the X.
It's like the one that all
No.
the families. That's like the family car.
It's like the SUV and then the back.
Isn't
the
the
doors
S-
go like this.
Wasn't that the first one?
No.
No?
The first one was normal doors, but then the next one was the one with the arms.
We saw one of those SUVs.
Yeah.
This is a really long
somewhere
conversation
in
about
Boca.
Teslas. But shout out to all the parents, real quick, whose kids are going back to school. Hope everyone has a
Yes,
great
yes.
school. I know Palm Beach County started on Monday. My kids started Tuesday. I know Broward is starting, I think, next week.
Broward went back Monday.
Oh, really?
Palm Beach and
So
Broward
does-
started on the same day this year.
Oh, okay. So I know
Oh, there
some-
they
Yeah,
are.
because
Okay,
the
Model
Model
Y.
Because they talked about how Broward County, some schools in Broward County, they just
Oh,
threw
that's right.
the
The
long
metal
lines.
detectors.
metal detectors in
Oh,
the schools.
they installed one metal detector at each high school.
One.
One.
For how many students are in high school?
Thousands.
Yep.
And
Just
there
putting-
was a gridlock.
Derp
And
de der.
finally, they turned down the sensitivity just so they could get more students in,
So stupid.
defeating
Who
the
puts
purpose.
one
Let's see.
for
1,000
students to go through? I read one post
And
by a
how
mom
long
who
does
said
it take a student to go through each or go through it?
depends on how
Probably
sensitive
like-
it is.
Well, I mean, they're coming in
Probably
with
like
backpacks and
one or
stuff. It's
maybe
like,
Do they
1
put
minute?
them down on like a table?
I don't
I would
know.
assume.
So that's 1,000 minutes per student.
yeah.
There's 1,000 students. That's 1,000 minutes. Hello, let's
Yeah,
do
but
the
I
math.
mean, like, it's because they wanted to implement them all at the same time. If they would have put more than one at each school, the cost would have been astronomical.
Right. So then why didn't they do whatever?
Broward gonna Broward.
Broward's gonna Broward. But anyway, shout out to all the
But
parents. Yeah.
there
So
are
I
s-
thought
there
some
are s-
schools are starting. I guess there's private schools. that
Private
might be
schools
starting.
started like some started yesterday or today. Like I was talking to some parents last night. There was a Lighthouse Point Police Department event at Witt's, my favorite local
That's my middle
um,
daughter. It's her favorite.
school. It's technically in Pompano, but it's at the south end of town. Lighthouse Christian School was starting today.
Yeah.
They were having half days today and tomorrow, and then starting full.
Full on Monday.
And we I went to Christian school, kindergarten through 12th, and we always had the first day was always a half day, for whatever
My
reason.
kids don't. They didn't always
Yeah.
have half day.
Yeah.
Their last day's a half day.
Yeah.
My kids always have the last day of every
Yeah.
before every vacation or
Yeah.
end of school is a half day, and then they always start though a day after public school.
Mhm.
So we took them to see a movie on Monday 'cause the movie theater was dead, like dollar movie.
Yeah.
And then with some of their friends, and then my all three of mine started.
What's it like being like?
So weird.
I tell you what, I was not getting back to that traffic in the mornings.
It's not fun. No, and
No, because
well,
I have to go by Deerfield High, and like the
Oh, I
people,
know.
like so I'm heading west, and there's people coming over 95. There's no like exits on that street, but
You
they're
don't have a
they're,
diamond exchange.
they're turning to go north along the west boundary of Deerfield High to drop their
Mhm.
students off, and they run the light at the
Mhm.
intersection. Then they block the intersection. Then those of us going westbound can't get across. And like every year, I think to myself, why doesn't BSO park one of their motorcycle cops at this intersection? Because like somebody's gonna get killed here.
Listen. So wait, in my neighborhood, we are right behind we're right down the street.
Oh, you're right by
from-
Boca High, right?
We're right down the street from Boca High and behind Boca
Middle.
Middle. So we have to take certain routes. There are routes that we can get into our house that we don't go by the schools because they're staggered starts.
Yeah.
So when we take the kids to school, we don't come back by the high school because, by the way, it is right by Whole Foods there and the Diamond Exchange. It's a hot disaster. So we don't take that. We take the back road to come home. The problem is afternoon at the middle school, everyone thinks that our neighborhood is Carline.
Yeah.
There is no car line in our neighborhood. Because the kids can walk out of the school across the bridge into our neighborhood, and the parents can avoid car line and come pick them up here. And these kids, I'm telling you, hit that wrong moment. There are kids just like groups of kids just walking across the street, parents stopping in the middle of the street, no blinkers, no, just stop on their phones.
Have I told you?
I'm like, somebody is. And so today they always start the school year with an officer there to make sure that they don't like park, like try.
Right.
They try. I would guarantee you by the next month, if the officer's going to be gone and it's going to be chaos.
We have a store in Hialeah Gardens that is literally across the street from a charter school, and it's just west of the Palmetto Expressway down there.
Oh no!
And parents literally let their kids off on the off ramp of the Palmetto Expressway.
What?
And I kid you not, there's another charter school like to the south of our store location, like off 103rd. But I have made the mistake of going down there on an early release day. Like the store always does like a Christmas Eve lunch or whatever. And so I get off the ramp on the Palmetto, go across 103rd and kind of loop around because there's a median there. You can't turn in. It's traffic's so crazy down there. Literally took me an hour to go around the block to get into our store because of early release. Because students are just everywhere in the roads.
They're just everywhere.
Parents like stop in the middle of the road to let their kid in or let their kid out.
It's crazy. I'm like, it's so. I want to put signs out and be like, this is not Carline. Carline is over there.
Well, Spanish River High School, the parents all go to the library and park, and then the kids walk from Spanish River.
Not Spanish River.
Yeah.
At Don Estridge.
Don Estridge.
Oh yes,
Yes.
yes.
The
it's
middle
Don,
school.
It's Don
Yeah,
Estridge's
Boca has
middle
actually been
school.
having at their city council. They're like, well, what do we do? Because
Yeah.
it's city property,
Right.
and they're like, these kids come and they're unaccompanied. There's no one monitoring them. Because they come over and wait for their parents to pick them up from there. Sometimes parents don't come for a while because they're working or whatever.
Yeah.
And they look at it as like a cool place for the kids to hang.
Go,
And Boca's
go
like,
hang out at the library.
yeah. And Boca's like, there's unaccompanied minors just like hanging out at the library on city property. If something happens, we're getting sued.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, so that's been, they were there. I wonder what they've done with that. I have to check and see. I know that one of the city commission meetings, city council meetings I was at a few months ago, they were like, this is a problem.
I worked just down from G-Star up in Lake Worth or in Palm Springs. All this week, it's taken me literally to go a block, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I get onto Congress, and it takes me a block to get to my work, and it takes me like 5 minutes.
Oh, I know where
It's
that's. I know what you're
ridiculous.
talking about. I know where
Yeah.
that school is. It's
Because
crazy.
everybody's,
Yeah.
it's like, and they have an entrance in the back, so I don't understand why don't they just
Because
do
they
the back
listen.
Well, that's how I got
School administration-
hit in the back of my car because some guy was like trying to turn in. So it's like you're going, it would be north, and the turn lane to go around, but they were coming south, and they went in the turn lane and hit the back of my car in this big giant truck, and then yelled at me, "Why didn't I move up further?"
People like I'm
I'm like,
it's
"That's
crazy.
not. You can't turn there. Like that's not a turn lane."
They had to actually. It's funny. So my kids, so they have their car line divided up into 3 groups based off of age, and so they always send you go to the youngest child's car line. So we changed car lines now because my son's now in kindergarten. So they've changed. So we now go back to his car line, and so they tried this new thing where they were going to have all the students, the kindergarten students, get released at 2:30, but then the older students are not released till 2:55. So you could either, this was that they sent out the first email of the thing, you could either,
Never give options.
I know.
Never give options.
Never give options. You could either go through the 2:30 car line to pick up your kindergartner and then loop back through the car line to pick up the other kids, or you could just wait until the 2:55 mark when the other kids are released and then come through and pick everyone up, and they'll hold the kindergartners in their classroom hanging out, watching, eating, whatever, homework, whatever they do for 20 minutes. And I was like, I'm not going through car line twice. That's like a 40-minute commitment. I'm not doing that. So I go. apparently they were like somehow letting the parents who would come early who needed a loop back come back in and cut into car lines. My friend is in car lane and she's texting me. She's like, what is happening? We pulled up the poor teachers because they get the sun. They are like,
it's so
I mean, they
hot.
look like they were like, I was like, somebody. So within a couple hours after car, we got an email. School. It was very awesome. The principal was like, you know, we tried it. It didn't work. We're going to try something else. And I was like, you know, she's a new principal. It's her first year because our principal retired. It's her first year. I was like, okay, all right. At least she recognizes that this did not work. And we're going to
Sometimes you
pivot.
gotta try things.
She's like, we tried.
and-
It did not work.
and
She put
you
a
gotta
verse
do
in there, a scripture verse. Make it go to private Christian. She put a scripture verse about, you know, plans. We make plans and sometimes they don't work. And I don't remember what the verse was, but it was. She was like, so we're going to try it. We're going to go back to what this was. And there we go.
Is your car line in front of or behind the school?
There's
Is it off
3 car
Congress?
lines. No. My kids go to school in Boca.
Oh.
No, they're my kids. They're not near Congress. Sorry,
Oh,
there is
okay.
Congress in Boca. They're. I don't want to say specifically where they
Not
go,
Congress,
but
I'm sorry. Wrong.
yeah, no, they go. They're further south, but there's 3 car lines, so they have it divided up, and they actually do run a pretty tight ship. But this year was a bit of a challenge because they had added 2 more classes, so there's just more parents
Yeah.
altogether. So they're trying to figure it out, and
But
that's
is
what you
it
got
on
to
the
do.
busy road or is it off behind it?
It's in their lot. You're
Oh,
not. I mean, sometimes it backs up to the busy road, which is why they try not to. That's just why they try to have it staggered. Was the goal. So they changed it up, but yeah. So it was just
Because what time?
they get out. They're staggered, so they get out at like 2:40 and then 2:50 and stuff like that. So
In the
yeah.
morning, but-
Oh, in the morning. Oh no, ours doesn't back up in the morning.
Do we have any do we have any comments?
Come on, people
Or
don't want to
questions?
comment on
No
all of our
questions.
ranting.
There's just been some comments. You know, I think I read the first couple. Baba Bill said, you know, support your pick, then support the picked.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, like whoever makes it out of the primaries, like we need to get them across the finish line against the Democrats.
If they're a true Republican,
Yeah.
I will
Yep.
do that.
Yep.
And then he agreed with the 24 months,
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Good.
and he pointed out that Lighthouse Point is the reddest district in South Florida. It has the reddest precinct, the most registered
In
Republican.
South Florida?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, one of the precincts in Lighthouse Point is the reddest, most registered Republican.
I love that you know that, Baba Bill.
I bet he's worked Lighthouse Point hard these last couple months. I can only imagine.
I'm sure. He's lost some weight. I saw him the other day, looking good.
Wait, what?
Baba Bill. He's lost some weight. He looks good. Not that
Ah.
anything before. I'm just saying you can tell he's been
Walking-
like
walking precincts, that'll
He's been
do it,
walking.
man.
I'm just saying. Sorry, came out wrong. You've been walking your precincts, looking good. Any other comments? Should we wear? So reminder: early voting ends October 18th.
October?
and- I mean October.
Yeah,
I
please,
wish.
God. Please, God, no.
No,
I need
make
it over
stop.
now.
No, I'm not saying early vote. I
I
just
need it
wish
over
I
now.
wish all of it was over now. It's gonna be a long couple
Sorry,
months.
it reminds me of when I ran for chair last fall, and I was just like, I need this election to be over right now,
this to be over.
regardless of the
I don't-
outcome. I just need to not have to be campaigning.
I don't
Yeah.
feel that yet. And for my specific campaign that I'm working on, I just feel that for everything. So it's been a long campaign season. We've
Well,
been campaigning for 4 years.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, God, it feels like forever. I do have an announcement. Party at the Polls, South
Oh, yes.
County Civic
Ah.
Center, Sunday from 1 to 4. So if you are out and about and haven't voted yet, come out, say hi. We're just
Grab a friend, come vote.
come. We hope to have a good little event and just kind of help create some unity within South County or South Region, I should say, so that we can kind of come together and support
You
our
can have
candidates
security
in
there.
November. I hope I don't need it.
Sorry.
It's hot, so we'll see what the participation level is. But
It's gonna be it's hot.
yeah, so but it's a great opportunity to kind of come out and just kind of talk to people and communicate and just
November
kind of,
candidates, you should be there.
yes,
If you
yes,
are straight to the ballot in November, try to be there.
yes,
Yeah.
because it's a great way to get volunteers and
Everyone's
get
gonna be
motiv-
ready to jump to another campaign, hopefully.
Yeah.
People won't take their toys too much and go home. Yeah, that's another thing. Sorry. Didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're
Been
good.
doing that all tonight. If you are working on a campaign and your candidate doesn't win, don't take your toys and go home. You've got experience working on a campaign, and we need you. We're gonna have some good candidates to get into November. To get them to November, don't take a minute, chill, and let's go.
And it's easier because you can just support up and down ticket, you know, because it's like there's no contention,
no drama.
Really. It's just a lot easier. You can unite underneath Trump and be able to, and you know, I'd love to see, and I've kind of been putting this out there, so I hope it takes hold. I'd love to see the Republican Party really focus on getting out the medium and low propensity voters for November, so that our campaigns can really focus on winning over those MPA votes.
Yeah,
I mean, if they could just be able to focus on those MPA votes and win those over by their platform, because that's where we beat the Democrats every time.
Yeah, because they have no platform. Exactly. Kamala Harris has no platform, and that goes all the way down. Literally, if you look at some of these Democrats, their platform is gun control, abortion, weed. That's it. Insurance, which is a thing for everyone.
I have to piggyback off the weed thing. I just have to say I am so disappointed in the former RPOF chairman Joe Gruters for coming out in support of the Amendment 3. Anytime you're on the same side as John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan, you can rest assured that you're on the wrong side.
Abby called them out.
I single-handedly blame Morgan & Morgan for, which it doesn't seem as big of a deal now because inflation's so bad, but when the minimum wage amendment passed in 2020, that was all they're doing. John Morgan backed that amendment. He's backing the weed amendment.
Why?
Because he's in cahoots with True Leave. If Amendment 3 passes, like, everyone needs to do their research on these amendments. But, like, they're written the way that they're written for a reason. And if Amendment 3 passes on the recreational marijuana, one corporation is going to have control over the industry in the state. So this is not a libertarian movement. This is about lining the pockets of one corporation in the state.
Dun, dun,
And I saw yesterday or the day before, Gruters came out and said that he's working on legislation to ban all smoking in public places in Florida. It's like, thanks, dude, for slapping a Band-Aid on the problem that you're promoting.
Right.
You know?
That's cuckoo bananas.
So...
that's for the birds.
So that's one thing. And then also on Amendment 4,
yes,
there's no definitions in that amendment. And it leaves it vague for a reason, because they want as liberal a policy on abortion as possible.
Which I'm going to get
with no
limits. What that means, I was speaking to someone today whose daughter is in, I think she said she's a nurse. She works in some type of medical field in Denver, Colorado, where it is legal to abort a child up to the point of birth. And she's seeing it happen. Women are coming in at 38 weeks, 37 weeks.
Gosh.
One of her daughter's friends apparently had to help with the procedure to do it. And she's like, she's like traumatized.
Yeah.
It is horrible. That is what they want to do. It is not, and this is where you can, and if you have a Democrat friend who's like, yeah, blah, 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 be like, but see, listen, they want to abort up to the point of birth. No, nobody's doing that.
Yeah, they do.
They are doing it. They want to do it. It is a death cult. They want to do it. This cannot pass. If this passes, God will judge us.
It is ingrained in our state constitution. Like, we can do nothing. Like,
we can do nothing to protect babies from being murdered.
And no definition of viability, no definition of healthcare provider. So I mean, it could be some.
They want to do this, so that we don't go to back alley abortions. What do you think? If there's no definition,
they can go to a podiatrist,
and that is the definition of back. Gosner. If you don't know, you don't think that this is still happening with the illegality of abortion, where they are butchering and doing horrible things to women and babies. You need to look up Gosner.
Yeah.
There's a movie. I haven't watched it because
you didn't see it.
I can't.
I saw it. I saw it when it was in the theaters.
I read all the stories. I was following all of it, and I just I couldn't at the time. I couldn't. I think I was pregnant.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like I can't. I can't. Anyway, so yeah,
I had a teen pregnancy. My daughter was born 2 weeks before my 19th birthday. So it's like, and my own parent, get rid of it. Like, everybody around me was like, deal with it. And I'm I'm like, what? Like,
Mhm.
like I don't understand this. Like, how is this even possible? And when you're in that situation, and now I'm like, look, I did it. You know, like, it wasn't the best scenario. Like, I was in a domestic abuse relationship on top of it. And I'm like, if I was able to take care of my child and end up having a successful life, like, there are options for people.
Yeah.
And a lot of the Democrats, and especially in our minority communities, unfortunately, they're educated and they use it as a form of birth control.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of things, because, you know, especially in, you know, our Black and brown communities, is that they don't want to take a pill because of the fact that so many times the government came through through previous generations and was like medicating them and experimenting on them. So they don't even want to take like a birth control pill. And now I'm not saying that that's the answer, but I'm also saying, like, so they're like, but they're promiscuous. They're not educated on, you know, the sanctity of your body and how important it is to, you know, like, love yourself and honor yourself before you give your body to someone. And so this is then the consequences. And then you have places like Planned Parenthood that come in a form of education.
Planned Parenthood is not education. It is abortion.
Correct.
No mammograms.
Abortion. The education is a front for the abortion complex that feeds the medical community and
sells body parts.
And sells body parts and organs. That's what they do.
So bringing it back to that, the moral side, the political side of things, just to kind of put it out there too. Sorry, I know we got to wrap up soon. I do strongly encourage people, if you are confronted with Democrats on this issue and it's causing, because they are very emotional about this, that we have an opportunity to turn things back to the economy. We say, okay, well, yeah, I understand you can vote for, you know, but, well, Trump is going to ban abortions. He's going to ban abortions. He's going to ban abortions. All right, so how much was your last grocery bill?
Yeah.
Like, don't get into the debate with them. I would just strongly, because it is so emotional, but we have an opportunity to remind them in that moment, how much was your last grocery bill? How much has your electric bill increased over the last year? Where are your wages at? Are your wages increasing or are they stagnant? Like, what? Let's talk about the economy, because then at least it'll give them a perspective, because that's all the Democrats are running on at the higher level is abortion.
Yeah,
abortion,
I mean,
abortion,
there was
abortion.
a reason that Amendments 3 and 4 they pushed so hard to get them on the ballot this year,
because they knew
they needed to drive Democrat turnout.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Janine chimed in. Saturday 10 to 1, party at the polls at the Jupiter Community Center.
Okay, perfect.
Sunday 10 to 1, the Acreage, party at the polls.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
North
Awesome,
County.
North County representing.
Yes.
Party at the polls.
Woo!
And Bill says, thanks, ladies. Support our South Florida candidates. Florida is the driver of America. Watch.
Oh,
Especially Palm Beach County. You know, we have an opportunity here, and if we don't straighten
and
things
we're
up,
blowing it to hell.
Exactly. It's like, if we don't pay attention and right this ship, we're going to be in trouble. And, you know, last day to vote is August 20th. Please make a plan to vote. Make sure you get out there. Polling sites are open 7 to 7 through Sunday. That's why we're having party at the polls. Last, you know, little hurrah on Sunday.
Hoorah.
And you know, get out there and you know, encourage people to vote. Is what I've been kind of telling people is text 10 friends, email 5 friends, call 3. Try to get them all, you know, have you voted? Do you have a plan to vote?
Let's go vote together. I'll take you. Do you need a ride?
Do you need a ride? You know,
Yeah.
like, do you know who to vote for? Here's the information on the candidates. Try to get them to make their own educated decision.
Yes.
You know, and then say, like, well, you know, and then state your opinion and let them make their own choices. This is how we engage people and promote self-governance and get people empowered to the polls. We have to educate them. We have to engage them. And then we empower them to vote. That's how this works.
Tell me like I'm 5. No, I'm just kidding. All right.
I just did.
You just did. Oh, and don't forget, our next episode is August 29th and then September 5th and September 19th. Stay tuned for who we're going to be having as our guests. We will be announcing that soon on our socials.
Yes, and if you are a candidate for November, we are open to sponsorship. So give us a call and let us know, because we'd love to help you get your names out there for sure. So anything else? Any closing thoughts there, Em?
Janine said, whoop, whoop. No, I think I spoke my piece tonight. I probably was a little more opinionated than I usually am.
No, I think it's good. Where I
was
was
good.
very ranty. I apologize.
a little heated.
There's so much more I could say about so many more things, but gotta save some in the tank for next post-election. What's
Postmortem?
the postmortem? Post-election postmortem.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. All right, everybody, be sure to check us out on Instagram, We the Locals FL. On X, we're We the Locals FL. Facebook, We the Locals. Be sure to check out our website. All of our links to our channels are there as well. WeTheLocalsPodcast.com. You can email us with any questions or concerns or anything you want us to know, or about our sponsorships at WeTheLocalsFL@gmail.com. Have a great night, everybody, and be sure to stay local.
Bye.
Bye.